In today's video, we're going to be going over some classy designer fragrances that are 100% worth a blind buy. These are safe, they're easygoing, but yet they do offer kind of an extra layer to them, an extra level, so to speak. Instead of going with the ultra basic, blue fragrances or, something along those lines, soapy shower gel type of scents, we're going for things that kind of add a little bit more depth while still maintaining a level of mass appeal. And they're also just, kind of different, so to speak. I guess you could say these are not your usual suspects that you're going to frequently smell on other guys when you're walking down the street. These have that little bit more of an exclusivity to them for one reason or another, which we'll talk about in this video today. So we're gonna get things kicked off with Acqua di Gio Elixir. So I know what you're thinking, in Acqua di Gio, how can this be exclusive, or how can this be something that nobody else is wearing? Well, because it's the elixir, okay? So this is not the newest anymore. They did come out with another new one. What is it, the Eau de Parfum Intense or something? Not 100% sure, somewhere along those lines. But before that, this was currently the newest one. This is also coming in at a price point that is going to be higher than all of the others. And keep in mind, not everybody knows about the discounter market. So a lot of guys out there that you might run into on the street that aren't really in the fragrance world like this, they're buying full retail, so they're gonna see the full retail price of this, and they're probably not gonna buy it. So that kind of gives you the edge, because you can buy this one below retail. It's still expensive, but you can get it for, a heavy discount. And that's kind of a couple of the main reasons why you're not gonna smell this all over the place. It's still relatively new, and it's much more expensive than Acqua di Gio EDT, which a lot of people are still wearing these days. So this one has violet leaf, leather, watery notes, and bergamot. It's a different take on Acqua di Gio. The leather gives it a nice, masculine, slightly earthy smell. The violet leaf is kind of a watery floral component, which is, somewhat new to this lineup in particular. They've always used an aquatic note or a sea note or a watery note because it's, of course, an Acqua di Gio, but the violet leaf gives it a different type of smell, a different type of watery feel, which I really, really like. And I've always said that violet leaf is very distinctive. When you smell it once, you will be able to pick it out in anything forever, right? Unless they're lying and they're not putting it in there at all. But chances are, even if it's there a little bit, it's usually pretty easy to perceive once you've isolated it and you know what it smells like. And you do pick up on it here. You get some bergamot and some orange to go along with it as well. So nice citrus off the top. So it's kind of just a leathery and slightly floral take on Acqua di Gio, which, you might not expect out of an elixir flanker with a sleek looking black bottle like this. You might expect it to go in the parfum direction, but even darker. That's kind of what I assumed before I tried it. And then it ended up not being that. So it was kind of a confusing one to start out with. But putting all of the expectations aside and just focusing on what we got, because after all, we can't change the scent. This is what we were presented with. I do really like it. It's a different take on the line, and it smells great. Really good performance as well. Still a mega compliment polar. Just nice classy feel about this one. This next one is going to be Missoni Parfum. Now, if that first one was too expensive, because trust me, I get it. That first one was like, $120 for 50 ml. That's pricey. I get it. This is going to be somewhere around 100 ml for like $35, okay? So really, really affordable. But you can basically call this one a cheapie, especially in this market. We're getting further and further away from $20 cheapies, and the new cheapie price point has kind of moved up to 30, 35 just about at this point, at least in terms of scents that are actually worth spending the money on. There are very few $20 scents that really hold a candle to what they used to back in the day, because the prices on the good ones have gone up. So this one here smells really, really nice. It's always been compared to Bleu de Chanel. It's not that simple. It's actually quite a bit different than Bleu de Chanel, so don't go into this one with that expectation. It's very woody. It's woody with a bit of a grapefruit off the opening, so that's kind of, I guess, where people get that comparison, because of the grapefruit in the woods. Although I don't really pick up on like a smoky incense out of this one like you get from Bleu de Chanel. This actually isn't as bright and fresh as Bleu de Chanel is either. It's more woody and just actually a little bit more sweet too. It's just a different scent altogether. However, it is great, especially for the money. This is not one of my favorites. I actually kind of usually prefer Missoni Wave. About the same price. It's much brighter, fresher. Smells a bit like Versace Pour Homme, Chanel Allure Homme Sport. This one, I don't know. It's not my favorite one. However, I include it because it's a good scent for the money. For $35, this is hard to go wrong with, and I know so many people do love it. It's just not one of my favorites. It doesn't have... I prefer something with a little bit of a brightness to complement the woods, and this one doesn't have it. The same thing with the Narciso Rodriguez Blue Noir EDP, EDT scents. Very woody, but they're kind of flat. This is somewhat in that category for my personal preference. However, I can't deny that it is a solid scent with a solid backbone, solid performance, and just at a good price. If this was, $70, $80 on discounters, I wouldn't be nearly as enthused about it as I am, but I know it's such a good price point for you guys and for anybody really who doesn't want to spend an arm and a leg. And so that option is out there. It's in this price point where it is blind buy safe because, well, it's pretty cheap, and buying a sample of it, you're not going to be really saving a ton of money by the time you get that sample. So, that's something you have to take into consideration, but definitely one to look into if you don't want to spend a ton of money and you just want something that simply just works. This next one is Polo 67. Now, this is just the Eau de Toilette. However, the Eau de Parfum is really good as well, and you can't go wrong with either of them. In fact, really, you can't go wrong with any Ralph Lauren Polo. And you really can't go wrong with any Ralph Lauren in general. They're a very, very safe designer brand. They definitely don't really try to step on any toes, so to speak. They keep it pretty safe, and that is definitely, kind of seen with the Ralph's Club series that they've been focusing on as well. And of course, this and the Eau de Parfum, really good scents. This one has pineapple, sage, lemon, vetiver, and some bergamot in there as well. So going to be more of your citrus fruity, kind of aromatic and woody. That's what this one's going to be, but at the same time with a twist. It's not a cookie cutter scent in terms of it smells exactly like X, Y, or Z. It's a familiar smelling DNA, but it's not a clone of anything in particular, if that makes sense. Kind of really similar to Ralph's Club and all of its, flankers. Now, Ralph's Club, the original, reminds me a little bit of that YSL Y series mixed in with some other aromatic modern-day blue scents, but yet I wouldn't label it as a YSL Y clone, and that's kind of what this one's doing. It's going into a broad category that we're used to smelling, but also putting its own twist on it as well. There's no denying that it is a pleasant smell. Is it something that's going to be super unique and very exciting in that regard? No, but we're not trying to really go there too much with this video. We're still trying to keep it safe, keep it classy, keep it mass pleasing, and this one does all of that at a really solid price as well. Going to be in that mid-range, about $45, maybe $55 on discounters here. This next one smells like pure class and sophistication. I've been a big fan of this one ever since it first came out, and to be honest, it doesn't get a whole lot of love. It's Givenchy Gentleman Boisee. It has iris, cacao pod, and sandalwood. So, this came out, this might have been... Was it after the Eau de Parfum? I can't remember at this point. I think it was, because the Eau de Parfum was still the most popular within this lineup. I mean, that one really had a big push. Very, very popular scent. I think it was a 2017 release. And so that one was still receiving that hype and that attention when this one dropped. And it was kind of overshadowed by the success of that Eau de Parfum that was ongoing. And it kind of quickly got pushed aside. I don't know. This one just really didn't get popular out of the gate. And it never really has been. It's always kind of been the red-headed stepchild, so to speak, where you don't hear about this one. And also, it doesn't help that now we've had Reserve Privé, we've had Society Ombre, even Society Extreme that a lot of people are focusing on now. And this one just keeps getting buried further and further. But it is really, really nice. Smooth, creamy, sweet. But with a little bit of a woody freshness, a creamy sandalwood, and then also that cacao pod kind of chocolatey dustiness that it gives off. It's just a really nice mixture. It's not as sweet as the Eau de Parfum, and it's not as fresh as the Eau de Toilette Intense. That's kind of where this one sits. It's in the middle, just right down the center line there. And that's why I like it, because it works in a wide variety of situations. It has a premium smell. It has a classy, refined nature about it that you just can't beat. This next one is Brioni Eau de Parfum Eclat. It has grapefruit, musk, ambroxan, and patchouli. I've talked about this one quite a bit, and as of right now, it's a little out of season, although we're getting close. We got warm weather on the horizon. Spring is going to be coming, and that's going to be the time that you want to wear the Eclat version, and into summertime easily if you wanted to. It's one of my favorites in the entire Brioni Eau de Parfum lineup. And it's really hard to choose like a top favorite because I have several really good ones, but it is definitely giving like the #1 spot a run for its money. I don't even know what the #1 spot would be right now, but this could be it depending on the time of year for me. It's that good. And typically with these fresh flankers, you know, these frosted glass kind of eau fresh variants, they're kind of hit or miss. Sometimes they're really good. Other times they aren't so good. And this one is really kind of the former. It is incredible. Nice and bright from that grapefruit, but then pretty quickly on, you get a little bit of a patchouli kind of masculine, classy, refined woodiness. That's always what patchouli does. There's several different varieties, but it almost always smells expensive. A little bit of ambroxan in here to complement the citrus off the top to give it a nice bright punch as well. Really, really good. Just something that puts you in a good mood. Just, you know, crisp, clean, happy, and refreshing smelling. This is also an eau de parfum, which is kind of out of the ordinary. Typically these eau fresh, you know, fresh versions, sometimes we'll step down to an eau de toilette. Not the case. They've kept this entire lineup EDP, which I really respect. Kind of moving down towards the end here with Tom Ford Grey Vetiver. This is the parfum version. I mean, it's all about the vetiver. Soapy, clean vetiver with a little bit of an earthiness to it as well, which I really like, but mostly soapy and clean. Okay, so it's not anything that's gonna be too far out there. There are some very earthy vetiver scents that just smell very interesting. Some people aren't gonna like them, like truly earthy, like dirty vetiver. That's not what we're going after here. Again, we're keeping it classy, we're keeping it refined, we're keeping it mass pleasing. Grey Vetiver Parfum does all of that really well. And you know, for me, this compared to the eau de parfum, I prefer the parfum. And my kind of view on it is, if you're already considering Tom Ford Grey Vetiver, you're already 80% of the way there, right? You've already committed that, okay, I'm gonna be spending over $100 on this Tom Ford, and now you're kind of getting hung up on, should I spend a little bit extra money and go for the parfum, or should I just stick with the EDP? Again, you're most of the way there. My opinion is that you should just spring for the parfum and go ahead and spend the money while you're there, because it is the better product. To me, this is better. It's longer lasting, it's a little bit heavier, a little bit stronger, richer. Everything about it is just more complete. And you know, if you get the eau de parfum first and you're not satisfied with it, well, either you're gonna have to try to sell that bottle and scrape some money back out of it, or you know, you just buy the parfum and keep that. Now you're, you know, into it a whole lot more money than you could have been if you just would have bought the parfum to begin with. Now me, I've got all of the versions, right? I've got the eau de toilette, which they no longer make, the eau de parfum, and the parfum. That's just kind of the nature of the game for me. But if I could save you some money and just point you towards the best one to get, it would be the parfum, and I always try to do that when I can. Last up for this video, we have L'Homme Ideal Cologne Forte by Guerlain. This is their newest, latest, and greatest right now. And well, yeah, it's another summer take, another fresh take. Think cologne, think last year's Platine Privé, think cool, although not quite as minty and green as cool, but still we're in that similar category. This is that in a nutshell. It has a little bit of a different note breakdown. It's got grapefruit, lemon peel, almond, and incense. Now the incense is not all that prominent. I'm listing it off just so you're aware that it is a note that they give you. It's just not one that you pick up on a ton, okay? So we can kind of put that aside. What we do get a lot of is that creamy almond with the bright citrus off the opening. It's a summery take, or a fresher, more spring take, I guess, on essentially the EDT DNA. The Cologne version was the first to do it. We were all devastated when they discontinued that. Little did we know that we were going to be in a cycle where they were just going to release this as a limited edition every year or every other year. So, you know, we feel better about it now. And this is marketed as a limited edition. You can get it through Guerlain's official website at full retail. I will link it down below. If you want to stick around and wait for it to hit discounters, I'll send an email out to my mailing list when this one does pop up on discounters, along with other good stuff coming up. So no matter what, we'll be able to get you hooked up with this below retail at some point. But these always go fast, and they're always limited because they just don't make a lot of this stuff, right? Same thing with Platine Privé. Very few times did that one actually hit discounters, and when it did, it would go fast. So it's going to be the same with this one. So make sure you subscribe to my mailing list. Make sure you check out my community tab. Make sure you go to my live deals hub page on my website. All of those resources are free to use, and they'll help you find stuff like this. But yeah, this one is a nice, refreshing, cooling take on that creamy almond DNA. Smells wonderful. This stuff to me is a must-have. Alrighty guys, that's gonna do it for me. Some classy fragrances that are worth blind buying. To me, these offer that extra level of, kind of sophistication that a lot of other newer designer releases might not have fully. I will drop links to everything down below. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.